No.
Yeah.
Is this the size of your charger, or do you have?
Yeah, mine is.
This is the newer one, right?
Hi.
Are you Elena by chance?
I am.
Hi, I'm AJ.
Hi, AJ. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you in person. Thank you so much for coming out today. And for all of your help. Thank you so much. And thank you for the meeting tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Continue this focus.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Any other question?
Just for fun, so you can.
Oh, where's that? I'm gonna use it.
Oh, okay.
You're right.
Put them out, but yeah, if you guys want to set up on it. Yeah, still give me attitude? Yeah.
Just your look.
So, just,
So, PowerPoint on this one? Yeah.
USB.
This is just a phone.
And this should be just like, you know, working from home as well. Or, I'm sorry, it should just be like a direct, should just be a direct.
I send you a screenshot. That you just sent.
Oh, it's okay, so we'll just kind of, yeah, so mine is.
I just wanted to, yeah, we'll talk about it after. Yeah, it was more like, we just want to make sure that.
Well, this,
Yeah,
this
he's
acts
aware
as
of the
like
new thing in the third course.
so this acts
Help
like
it.
a
Yeah.
direct connection, so you wouldn't need to do that.
Did you guys?
Yeah, so essentially this is just kind of taking this place.
I assume so.
How it should work, except for it will not charge, so I have the charges.
I mean, it's just better.
Oh, yeah. It's ready to go. I'll come up and I'll do the screen
Well, I'll
share.
keep this up here just in case.
And then all I gotta do is hit space bar.
Yes, just worried about, you know, just have to like move the slide using the arrow, but I have it ready. I do that on the chair. I have it right here. So I'll come up and do that, and then at the end of the presentation, don't worry about taking it down. I'll go ahead and end the screen share.
Perfect.
Don't break down my phone.
You have one,
It's hard to hear.
I'm okay. Water. I got one. Thanks.
our transcript from two clients.
Got it. So the more we put the money we're going to fund ourselves.
So I was just gonna say, turn on, that's in the budget.
Okay. Got it, thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting of April 15th, 2026. Our committee liaison, Sarah Jordan, will provide information and instruction for the public to participate in today's meeting. Sarah, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair Von Wilpert. While members of the public are able to attend the meetings in person, this meeting is being televised and live streamed on the city's website, and council administration will continue to make arrangements for the public to comment using the Zoom webinar platform. Members of the public who wish to provide testimony via a call-in or internet-based service option must enter the virtual speaking queue within 5 minutes after the conclusion of in-person public testimony or before the virtual speaking queue is exhausted, whichever occurs first. This will allow for better meeting management between the two platforms and ensure the committee is able to manage and conduct city business. We appreciate the public's cooperation. Chair?
Thank you. I'll now call the Public Safety Committee meeting of April 15th, 2026 to order. Sarah, please call the roll.
Vice Chair Kempio?
Here.
Committee Member Campbell?
Here.
Committee Member Whitburn? Chair Von Wilpert?
Present.
Also attending the meeting today is Jill Christian, Office of the City Attorney, Baku Patel from the Office of the IBA, and Koda Seisler from the Office of the Mayor. And if you are in person, please complete a speaker slip located at the entrance of the committee room and place it in the box indicated at the table at the front of the room. Please do so in a timely manner to ensure proper meeting management. In-person testimony will conclude before virtual testimony begins, and members of the public can join the webinar by computer, tablet, or smartphone by accessing the link which is listed online in the preamble language of the agenda on the city's webpage. To join the Zoom webinar by telephone, please dial 1-669-254-5252, and when prompted, input webinar ID 161-398-011-0144#. This information is also available on the agenda and it will appear on the screen during the public comment period for each agenda item. Please note that if you're watching via City TV 24 or online, there may be a delay, and please participate via the audio on your phone and mute your TV or your computer when it is your turn to speak. If you wish to speak to a particular item, please wait for that item to be called and then raise your hand by tapping the raise your hand icon, or if you're a call participant, by pressing *9 on your phone. If you raise your hand during the non-comment period, your hand will be lowered. Chair?
All right, thank you very much for reviewing the instructions for the benefit of the public. A quorum is now present. I'm going to go over the order of events today for meeting management purposes. We are going to take up our non-agenda public comment at the end of today's meeting. And we're going to go in order of items 1, 2, and 3 of consent, and then item 4, and then non-agenda public comment. So do we have any committee, mayor, city attorney, or IBA comments before we open? All right, hearing none. Do we have any requests for continuance? Hearing none, let's begin with our consent agenda. Sarah, please, do we have any requests to pull from consent? Okay, hearing none, please proceed with public comment.
Thank you, Chair. The public comment period for the consent agenda is now open. The consent agenda includes items number 1 through 3. Item 1 is the approval of the committee minutes from March 11th, 2026. Item number 2 is the authorization to execute a second amendment to the contract with SBCS Corporation for administration of the No Shots Fired Gang-Related Gun Violence Reduction Program. And item number 3, second amendment to the agreement between the City of San Diego and Texco, doing business as Auto Return, to provide management and dispatching services, towing services, Each speaker will have 1 minute per item, up to 3 minutes. If you can please indicate which item or items you'll be speaking to. We will begin with in-person testimony. Allegedly, Audra, if you would please approach the lectern. You have indicated you wish to speak to all 3 consent items, so I will place 3 minutes on the clock for you to manage.
Yes, so with the minutes, anytime I'm speaking about Tent City, I find that it's very selective what is written about what I'm saying. And Dreams for Change is never mentioned. The fact that I've asked for Dreams to be Dreams for Change to be audited and or defunded. The fact that the city is complicit because you guys are on the property, you see what's going on, you are witnessing the atrocities, and it still continues. And the concerns of Stephen Whitburn being very good friends with Dr. Teresa Smith makes me wonder if there's kickbacks coming to him in some way, because it's pretty concerning that, you know, none of that kind of stuff gets written in the minutes. So I would appreciate if, when the minutes are being taken down and I'm addressing Dreams for Change and your guys is being there on the lot, that is reflected in my comment, because when you're taking that out, it doesn't show what I'm really saying. I mean, you're talking about me addressing 2 men that came from B-Lot that were complaining about things that I've been telling you guys about for a very long time, and it went unaddressed. So I think that you guys need to be more specific, because it needs to be reflected in the record that there is negligence happening instead of hiding it. So with number 2, this SBCS cannot be trusted. I'm wondering how much money they're taking from these contracts with the $750,000 more that they're getting and a not to exceed amount of $1.25 million. Because the County of San Diego gave them $6 million of ARPA funds to open the transfer site that Stephen Whitburn refused to talk about. When I asked him why there are military-aged men being brought over to the elementary school and brought out in white buses. So they took $2 million for 4 months and 3 weeks of work to pay their employees. They took 1/3 of the money, which is ridiculous. I don't know how many employees you could possibly have that you would have to pay $2 million to over a 4-month period in 3 weeks. So my concern is that many NGOs are money whores. They'll come and do anything to get the money from a grant. But the money that they are actually spending to provide these services, I don't find that it is a reflection of good money management and spending. And so for this towing services, this is interesting because it's like Texco is doing business as Auto Return, and now is Auto Return Holdings doing business as CFCCA Holdings. It's like, how many doing businesses as do we need to deal with that? And my concern is that when the San Diego Police Department brutally assaults someone like Andrea Epping and leaves her keys and belongings on the ground after that happens so that her vehicle gets stolen, then it goes into the tow yard, and the police department won't take responsibility for their negligence in that, and then she has to pay $1,000. So it seems like it's quite a racket that's going on with these towing companies, especially when the San Diego Police Department is complicit in the fact that cars are being stolen, and then you guys get a profit off the back end of that. So there's a lot of negligence going on, and that's a huge public safety threat.
Thank you for your testimony. That concludes comment here in chamber. So I'll begin the 5-minute timer for all those in the virtual queue to indicate if they wish to speak to the consent agenda. When I give you permission to speak, if you'll please indicate which item or items you'll be speaking to, starting with Kathleen Lippett. Please unmute and let us know which item or items you'll be speaking to.
My apologies. You changed non-agenda public comment to the end of the meeting, and that's what I wish to speak to. So,
okay, thank you.
lower finance, I'm sorry.
Our next speaker is Lori Saldana. I've given you permission to speak. If you can please indicate which item or items you'll be speaking to on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to start with item 1, approval of committee minutes.
Okay.
And,
Just the one item?
Well, also item 2, the no shots fired,
Okay.
gang-related violence reduction program.
2 minutes.
So, regarding the committee minutes, I agree with the previous speaker that there's not a lot of detail on what people's concerns are being, or what concerns are being expressed by people. It's a bit vague, and in some cases there are acronyms used that make it difficult to know, for example, what Francine Maxwell was discussing when she provided testimony on the CPP. It would be helpful to have the full name of an agency or organization to help people better understand what's being discussed. I will say this about the concerns about the sleeping site, that this is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and one of the concerns for safety in those sites is not having a secure place for people that is regularly patrolled by either police or other public safety officials. So I hope this committee is going to address Sexual Assault Awareness Month as part of April. And in terms of item 2, the amendment on the no shots fired gang-related violence, I want to acknowledge the work of an organization that provides trauma-informed support services and services for formerly incarcerated people. One of the things that the Women's Legislative Caucus in Sacramento worked on were women who were incarcerated and the challenges that they faced when they returned to their home and the community. And what we also learned is that many men who return to their community have been traumatized, have been sexually assaulted, brutalized in other ways. And so I hope that these programs are dealing with survivors of sexual assault, that they're dealing with other people who have, again, as part of their trauma-informed services, support services, because what we know is people who were harmed often harm others. So I'm glad that there is a prevention program helping with that, and again, in light of April being Sexual Assault Awareness Month, perhaps they can address how they manage that in their programs. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker is phone number ending in 8700. You can unmute by pressing *6. You'll have 1 minute per item, and if you can please indicate which item or items you'll be speaking to on the consent agenda.
2 and 3.
All right, 2 minutes, please begin.
Thank you, Sarah. Joy Sunyata. On number 2, no shots fired, gang-related gun violence reduction program. Love it, love it. The EOC, the agreement is exempt from workforce report as it is a nonprofit organization. Yet in the, so the subcontractor on this is Sharpat Outreach Ministry of Charity Apostolic Church. I don't know that church, but thank you from the bottom of my heart. I was confused on the workforce stuff because there is a workforce report for SBCS. And I could probably understand it if I studied it more, but I wanted to put that out there for you. So the workforce report for SBCS, 407 employees, all admin, 239 are Hispanic, Latino, female. 70 of that category are male, so that's amazing. I love the words community healing, community trust. Now in the staff report, please add communities to the key stakeholders and community outreach efforts. That was missing, and it really shows that missing part. Love to all of you are my heroes. Number 3, TEGSCO, doing business as auto return, EOC, question, who is CFKAA Holdings? 15 employees, so exempt from workforce report, yet the workforce report is in the backup. So software application and management of the computer operated towing dispatch center, DLM software, cost neutral, offset by the tow.
Thank you. This does conclude your 2 minutes. Thank you. And the final hand up in the queue is Judy Strang. If you can please unmute and indicate which item or items you'll be speaking to on the consent agenda.
Good afternoon, Public Safety. I wanted to speak to 1 and 3.
All right, 2 minutes on the clock. Please begin.
You bet. In the minutes last month, I spoke to the emergency medical response audit, and my concern was that the genesis of my talk was the cost that Poor Health has and Poor Health emergencies have to our first responders, and somehow that got lost in transcription. And I noticed one of the other speakers, and I remember the talk, spoke to drug impaired, alcohol impaired driving and its role on our roads and keeping them safe, and what a public safety problem that was. And I just did want to mention, since it's April now, that it is Alcohol Awareness Month, and that's kind of one of the centerpieces of April, is alcohol impaired driving. So that was a wonderful introduction that we had in the month of March. And it is, I would agree, very difficult to see how the things that are important to us get lost when the minutes are done. Although I've taken minutes and meeting notes, and I know how hard that is, so I appreciate the effort, but somehow the mark is missed when we have things to share. And I guess I would just want to emphasize that it's extremely expensive to the city, the response that our first responders have to make to the problems associated with alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana drugs, regardless whether they're police or medical. And we need to remember, when we look at budget items, that public safety and its costs are a huge portion of it. And if we could be a little more prevention focused up front, we'd save ourselves more money at the end. And thank you to the police department for the signs that are hanging over the freeway right now, reminding us about driving alcohol and drug impaired. Yay, police department.
Thank you for your comments. And the 5-minute timer has expired, so this concludes testimony on the consent agenda, items 1 through 3.
Thank you very much, and I'll now take any committee member comments, questions, or a motion, beginning with Vice Chair Campino.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda, Chair.
Thank you. Now Councilor Campbell.
I will second that motion.
Wonderful, thank you. We have a motion and a second, and I just have a few comments on the Second Amendment to the contract for the No Shots Fired program. Thank you very much to our police department for working with the community to prevent gang violence. And also we had a whole presentation from the No Shots Fired program at an earlier committee meeting. So if you want to hear about the great work they're doing, please check back in the archives of this committee meeting, because we had a wonderful presentation about the incredible work they do to intervene with the police department. Today is just about approving the contract to renew it, so we do continue the great work on gun violence prevention. And with the Second Amendment, with the agreement for towing dispatch services, this is simply a dispatch program. This is not deciding when or how cars will be towed. It's simply so that when a call comes in, this is how we're going to get the dispatch done. Is that correct, officer? I'm getting the nods, correct. Okay, so with that, let's take the vote on the consent agenda.
And the consent agenda passes unanimously, 3-0, with Councilmember Whitburn absent.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, that brings us to our next item, item 4, which is, Sarah, please, which is our discussion agenda. Sarah, please introduce item 4.
Thank you, Chair Von Wilpert. Item number 4 is the proposed amendments to the City of San Diego's Earned Sick Leave and Minimum Wage Ordinance to enhance the city's ability to combat wage theft. And if you're watching on City TV or the live stream online, you'd like to dial in to speak, please call 1-669-254-5252, inputting webinar ID 161-398-0144#. Chair.
Thank you, and I have a few introductory comments before we hear this item today. Thank you to my team for doing such a great job on this. You know, the genesis of the item today on wage theft enforcement came at our December 12th, 2025 special meeting of the Select Committee on Addressing the Cost of Living. It was the Center on Policy Initiatives gave an informational presentation regarding the state of wage theft and how it detrimentally affects workers here in San Diego. It was at that time, though, our team noticed a deficiency in San Diego's Earned Sick Leave and Minimum Wage law, which prohibited our city attorney, our enforcement arm, from actually prosecuting businesses who broke the law and steal their workers' hard-earned wages. So today we're here to fix that. You know, people in San Diego are working harder than ever, working longer hours and still struggling to make ends meet with the cost of living in our region. And the least we can do is make sure that they are being fully compensated for the wages they have earned. But right now, under the current ordinance, there are limitations. The city does not have explicit authority to recover unpaid wages for workers, to prosecute businesses when they break the law, or to recover for overtime. And that responsibility would fall entirely on the worker themselves to prosecute their own case, which is incredibly hard to do. And it shouldn't be this way. The city should have their backs. This is also for fairness to law-abiding employers who are doing the right thing, actually paying their workers, are being undercut by employers who are breaking the law. So I'm happy to turn it over to my staff. Thank you again for everyone for being here, and I'll let you take the presentation away.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Chair Von Wilpert and members of the Public Safety Committee. My name is Justin Garber. I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff for Council District 5, and I'm joined by AJ Baker, our Senior Policy Advisor for Council District 5. Today I'll be presenting the proposed amendments to the City of San Diego's Earned Sick Leave and Minimum Wage Ordinance to strengthen enforcement and better combat wage theft. This item is about ensuring workers are paid what they're legally owed, while giving the city stronger tools to hold bad actors accountable. Wage theft occurs when employers fail to pay workers the wages and benefits they're legally entitled to. This can come in many forms, including denying legally required meals and rest breaks, failing to pay overtime, misappropriating of tips, requiring off-the-clock work, denying earned sick leave, making unlawful deductions, or failing to reimburse employees for work-related expenses. These practices disproportionately impact low-income workers and undermine fair competition for law-abiding businesses. Wage theft is not an isolated issue. It is widespread and persistent across the country. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, more than $1 billion in back wages and damages were recovered for over 615,000 workers between 2021 and 2024. In fiscal year 2025 alone, $259 million was recovered for nearly 177,000 workers nationwide. It is important to note that tracking back wages and damages recovered often come with lag in data and delays, but these numbers do highlight both the scale of the problem and the importance of strong enforcement mechanisms. Under our current ordinance, the city does not have explicit authority to recover unpaid wages on behalf of workers, unpaid wages and damages on behalf of workers. That responsibility falls entirely with individual employees who often lack the resources or the ability to pursue legal action. Additionally, the ordinance currently explicitly states that violations cannot be prosecuted as misdemeanors or infractions. This limits enforcement tools and reduces the ability to deter repeat or willful violators. Without meaningful consequences, bad actors can continue to exploit workers with limited accountability. The current ordinance also does not expressly allow for recovery of unpaid overtime wages under the city's framework. And in some areas, the language is not fully aligned with state law or other local ordinances, such as the city's hospitality and minimum wage ordinance. These gaps create inconsistencies and reduce the effectiveness of enforcement. Our proposal would strengthen the ordinance in 3 key ways. First, it would give the city standing to seek damages on behalf of workers. Secondly, it would authorize misdemeanor charges for employers who commit wage theft. And third, it would allow both workers and the city to recover unpaid overtime wages. Together, these changes would significantly enhance accountability and enforcement. We're at the beginning stages of this review process, and today's proposed action is requesting the committee authorize the city attorney's office work with Council District 5 to develop amendments to the City of San Diego's earned sick leave and minimum wage ordinance to 1, give the city standing to seek damages on behalf of aggrieved employees under the city's MWO. 2, to authorize the city to bring misdemeanor charges against employers who commit wage theft in violation of the city's MWO. And 3, to permit aggrieved employees and the city to recover unpaid overtime wages under the city's minimum wage ordinance. In closing, strengthening this ordinance is about fairness, accountability, and protecting workers across San Diego. It ensures that the law has real consequences and that workers are not left to navigate these challenges alone. Thank you for your time today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Sarah, please proceed with any public comment.
Thank you, Chair. We've received 2 slips here in the committee room.
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry, hold on. I apologize. I'm Baku Patel with the IBA's office. Would like to make some comments.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to briefly comment that our office has now officially started our review of the mayor's proposed budget, and we are scheduled to release that review in 2 weeks on April 29th. As it relates to today's discussion, we would want to note that the proposed budget includes changes to the city's minimum wage program, including the addition of 2 positions that support the recently approved hospitality worker minimum wage and traffic control worker minimum wage ordinances. In addition to that, there is a proposed reduction of 1 of the 2 current staff members that support the minimum wage program's investigations. We are still working to understand that impact of those changes on the minimum wage program, but would want to flag that there may be impact to the department's ability to investigate minimum wage and earned sick leave violations as a result of the proposed budget changes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, and apologies. Right now, please proceed with any public comment.
Thank you, Chair. We'll begin in-person testimony with allegedly Audra, and you will be followed by Luca Barton. Each speaker will have 2 minutes, and so.
I'd like to know how much the city makes off of these corporate proceedings. Even though money goes to these people, how much is the city pocketing in that? And it's just interesting when we live in an inverted world and you guys engage in wage theft, I would say, with everything that you do. Because people work very hard and you guys take their money and throw it away, and we're always in a constant deficit. I mean, look at that salary ordinance that passed yesterday. That was pretty sad to see that there was so much wrong with it. And yet you guys are forced to pass it, or you're breaking your charter rules. So you like put yourself in positions where you have to do that, and then the mayor can go ahead and get, put in whoever he wants, and we pay for that. The people pay for your wages. Even how much you guys make up on that dais is pretty crazy that you make more than Congress. And then we're sitting here talking about wanting to protect people's wages. Of course you should, but you also shouldn't engage in the same. It's very hypocritical to talk about, addressing the cost of living when pretty much every time you guys are in the chambers, you up the cost of living astronomically. I mean, even just with the trash theft that's happening, it's like you're gonna get billions of dollars with how much money you're taking from the people just to give them new trash cans when they already had another one. It's like, so it's very like a slap in the face to the people when you're like, I want to protect you. Well, protecting them would also be not to engage in the same thing. Because I feel like everybody has Stockholm syndrome and they come up and they thank you guys and then they'll thank you for this, right? But they're also not paying attention to what you guys are really doing, which is stabbing them in the back and taking the hard-earned money. And it's just really sad to see. So my hope is that you guys would course correct and that you would start to see things from off the dais and in a people matter, and like put yourself in their position and see if you would really do the same thing or if you wouldn't.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Luca Barton.
Hello, I'm Luca. I'm here representing the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council. We represent over 130 unions, over 200,000 union workers and union families across the region. Wage theft is a crisis in this country. It costs workers in the United States $50 billion a year. It dwarfs every other form of theft combined, yet we don't hear it on the news. It dwarfs robberies, burglaries, car thefts, all of it. And it's happening to the people who can least afford it. And I know about wage theft firsthand. Years ago, I worked at a sandwich shop community up in LA. Luckily, they're gone. They stole all of my tips and some of my wages. When I brought it up, I was berated by their attorney through email. It took me a full year to get my wages and penalties back by going through the Department of Labor Standards Enforcement. And I was lucky because I knew my rights and I knew that I could go that route. And I was privileged enough to wait. I had savings, I had family support, I had stability. But most workers don't have this, and that's why this is so important. That's why these amendments are so important. Giving the city standing to seek damages on behalf of workers, including unpaid overtime, and authorizing misdemeanor charges against bad employers who steal wages are real tools, real deterrents. A message that the city of San Diego, that in the city of San Diego, exploiting workers will not be tolerated. So we want to really thank Councilmember Marty Von Wilpert and her team for bringing this forward and making this a reality. And to the rest of the committee, please support this item. Workers are counting on you.
Thank you. That concludes testimony here in the committee room. So I'll begin the 5-minute timer for those in the virtual queue to indicate if they wish to provide a comment on item number 4. And as a reminder, each speaker will have 2 minutes. We will begin with Andrea Ebbing. Please unmute and begin.
Hi, this is Andrea Ebbing. I appreciate that we are in Public Safety Committee looking to protect the rights of people who, earn minimum wage or wage theft victims, but I would encourage everyone to take a look at the people who take the time to present to you on a weekly basis ideas like drone home shows for SeaWorld, like that was just approved with Joe LaCava and the Voice of San Diego, is touting it. But I did bring that up at City Council. I bring up pretty good ideas. I participate, and I am a victim of like multiple incredible violent crimes that took place right in front of your face, and I have zero protection, none, zero. But the officers, I don't know if they're under the wage protection, but the 24 officers that stood by and did not respond to calls while they were on overtime, which we paid them $145 million in overtime, 24 of them. Now, I couldn't get a non-emergency response for days, hours, days, but somehow, when I went within inches of my life in front of 40 children by Officer Anthony Rowe, 24 officers came to watch and laugh. And I looked up their tax records, and I found that some of them had about $100,000 in other pay, in addition to their regular pay and overtime. Some of them had $3,000, $10,000, $20,000, $40,000, $4,000. Some of the rookies had $500 and $1,000 of kickbacks for defendants and rehab programs that I've been blowing the whistle on. So I would just say all around, maybe just take a look at like who's stealing money, who's laundering money, who's in front of you, begging you for help to be protected as victims in San Diego. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker is phone number ending in 8700. You can unmute by pressing *6. You will have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Sarah. Joyce and Yata. Love this ordinance. Now, here's what came forward a few minutes ago. The budget has been issued, I believe. I want to speak to the public and to everyone. Don't do what I just did. Because when the IBA gave us that terrible information about what could happen to supporting this program to a certain degree, not eliminating it, but not fully being there for it, I found myself getting negative about we're not going to make it through the budget in good shape. Don't do that, everybody, anybody. I just caught myself, and I'm not going to do it. We're going to support this program. We're going to support our people. And this budget isn't going to knock us down, because we're going to fight. And we're going to make sure that we take the opportunity to seize whatever we can that's coming forward. We're going to meet the moment, regardless of what the moment brings us. So I'm just very passionate about this, because I was shocked that I could feel my energy dropping, and I don't usually do that. And so I had to get that off my chest. So thank you for listening. And I really appreciate your listening. So I just love this program. I talk to young people. They're all working 2, 3 jobs. The parents aren't there with the kids. They're out there trying to make ends meet. And the city in the past hadn't even been able to legally help them on this fraud. So I'm just thrilled that we're doing this. Thank you, everybody that's making it happen, and the cost of living committee people. I just love you to pieces for that. So stay together and stay positive, and my keyword is opportunity. Love to all.
Thank you for your testimony. Our next speaker is Judy Strang. Please unmute and begin. You will have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Public Safety Committee. On the face of it, I greatly support the concept. I'm assuming this is for residents who aren't hired by the City of San Diego, because you must have an internal process to take care of your people. And I apologize for the phone in the background. And so, on behalf of the residents of the City of San Diego, this on the face of it sounds good. However, we had a presentation at Board of Supervisors that the Board of Supervisors was establishing internally with their lawyers this very same type of program, a protection for the residents of, in this case, the entire county, but it would certainly include the City of San Diego. And somehow or another, they needed a much larger, elaborate program that even exists in the district attorney. And the district attorney came and spoke to how this is part of the heart of what they want to do at the district attorney, is to protect the residents of the county, and I assume that must mean the City of San Diego, and that a lot of folks, employees who have problems, there's more than just one of them, and the company that they're involved with is more than just one company. go after companies that establish these policies or at least practices that harm our citizens here in the city of San Diego as they go to work. So I'm a little concerned about where is this program operating from? Is this the city attorney's office? How does it compare to what the district attorney's doing, and how it compares to what now the county wants to do, which is a really large and heavily funded and heavily resourced with staff, and make sure there isn't duplication of services. There seems to be at least a duplication of goals. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, and with the 5-minute timer expiring, this concludes testimony on item 4.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to my staff for the incredible work on this. Thank you to the San Diego Labor Council for coming and supporting. And thank you to the Center on Policy Initiatives who highlighted the city's inability to actually prosecute wage theft as a misdemeanor. And I will make the motion to approve staff's recommendation. And also, there are very different roles for the city attorney and the district attorney. The city attorney is the only one authorized to prosecute misdemeanors in the city of San Diego. The district attorney, of course, prosecutes felonies. But the wage theft is so rampant in our city, and workers are so vulnerable that we need all of the enforcement hands on deck that we can have. Right now, workers have to go to the California state level with the California Department of Labor to try and prosecute their wage theft, and that shouldn't be the case. Here in San Diego, we should be holding employers accountable. So I'm happy to make the motion to approve staff's recommendation, and I'll now turn over to Vice Chair Campillo.
Thank you very much, Chair Von Wilpert, and thank you to your staff for their good work in this. Today, looking at an opportunity to strengthen a very fundamental principle of fairness in our city. When you work a long day, you deserve fair pay. And of course, wage theft isn't a series of isolated incidents. It's a widespread problem affecting workers across every community and every industry in small ways and in big ways, and it piles up over the course of time. So when workers are denied their overtime and forced to work off the clock or stripped of their earned wages, and their families are the ones that suffer. Honest businesses are undercut by people who break the rules as well. We have to remember that there are businesses that are keeping track, are paying to have that accountant make sure every dollar is paid out appropriately, and they look around and see the city not enforcing the rules. They say, why should they follow the rules? So this is really about fairness and making sure everyone follows the law. Amendments to the minimum wage ordinance would give the city the tools, as you've explained, to hold bad actors accountable and recover unpaid wages on behalf of the workers and prosecute the violations that are necessary. It strengthens enforcement, protects responsible employers, and sends a clear message that we're not going to tolerate this in San Diego. As the presentation pointed out, billions of dollars are stolen from workers every year. Just think of the multiplicative effect of having another $1 billion of wages in families' pockets that's spent in the economy 3, 4, 5 times over. That's keeping more than $5 billion out of the economy. This is really something that affects us all and that everybody should be concerned about. And I'm really glad that our committee and you are concerned about it. I'm concerned about it. And so I will second the motion.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you. That, I think, concludes our councilmember comment. And now I'll take the vote.
And item 4 passes unanimously 3-0 with Councilmember Whitburn absent.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you to my staff. Thank you to my colleagues. We will be bringing forth a fully approved city attorney vetted ordinance for full committee hearing pretty soon. And now that brings us to the end of our discussion agenda, and we will proceed with non-agenda public comment. Sarah, please proceed with hold on. Sorry, I'm not in my, here we go. The council members respect and appreciate the public's input and are fully committed to protecting every participant's free speech rights at council and committee meetings. Sarah, now please proceed with non-agenda public comment.
Thank you, Chair Von Wilpert. Per Rule 2.7, non-agenda public comment is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of this committee. Each speaker will have 2 minutes, and again, if you're watching on City TV or the live stream online, please dial 1-669-254-5252, inputting webinar ID 161-398-0144#. We'll begin with testimony here in the committee room. Allegedly, Audra, if you would please approach the lectern, you will have 2 minutes to provide your non-agenda public comment.
will say when exposing a crime is being treated as committing a crime, you're being ruled by criminals. And I'm very concerned about what happened to Andrea Ebbing and the fact that she was talking about her experience at Las Colinas, and women who have lost their children are being put in solitary confinement, strapped to beds, and being on suicide watches because they had their child ripped from their womb. And it's very sad to see that that is being seen as a psychotic episode. And a reason for Anthony Warner, officer badge number 1665 of the San Diego Police Department, to brutally assault her and claim that he got bit and that he can't work. Well, he never told her that she was under arrest, and he never treated it like an 11550 or a 5150. Yet he went out of his way to slam her head into the ground, knowing that she had an aneurysm. He also maced her in the face. And now she's going to be charged with a felony. It's very concerning because I'm concerned about Falk Ambulance and the San Diego Police Department and Prop 36 and how it's being used. Because Andrea's been exposing the fraud that's been going on with that, including with Summer Steffen. And now I believe that they're going to use that on her to force her into some kind of treatment, which her ex, Matt Bruin, is actually complicit with the DA and puts people through these programs that get kickbacks for it, and you drug people and, you know, just keep them in the system. But it's very concerning that when you are exposing something that you're treated like you're having a psychotic episode. But honestly, the burden of knowledge compels you to speak. And so it may seem crazy when you're talking about women that have lost their children and your concerns about them. But it shouldn't be a reason for an officer to brutally assault a woman.
Thank you for your testimony. I'll begin the 5-minute timer for all those in the virtual queue to indicate if they wish to provide non-agenda public comment at this time. Each speaker will have 2 minutes, and we currently have 7 hands raised. We'll begin testimony with Gloria Saldana. Please unmute and begin.
Yes, thank you. So here we are back in April with this Denim Day coming up to recognize that we need to do a better job in the city of San Diego and really everywhere to protect women from sexual assault and make sure that when they are assaulted, that they have access to justice by reporting their crimes, going through the sexual assault evidence kit process, but most importantly, here in San Diego, having the results of those kits tested. So it's been over a year, or well, coming up on a year, since the Public Safety Committee held a hearing and disclosed that the police department disclosed that they had thousands of untested evidence kits in their possession, going back in some cases decades. And when they finally, because the state law changed, thanks to pressure from legislators, to force them to test those kits, it was only then that they came to your committee and acknowledged hundreds of perpetrators who were identified through those DNA results had apparently never been prosecuted because they had not been identified and then had that information sent to the district attorney's office. Raul Campillo was horrified. The chair of this committee was horrified to hear these testimony, the information from the police officers who came in. But what I have not heard or seen from this committee is what you have done since then to make sure that those cases are being followed up, that the people who trusted the police department to test those kits and turn them over to the justice system ever received justice and went through a court proceeding. So you still have time. Denim Day is coming up. I hope that someone is going to bring forward another resolution this year, and I encourage you to make sure whatever resolution and proclamation is done includes some follow-up. What justice has been made available to those thousands of women, mostly women and men, to be identified or to get justice in the system? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Francine Maxwell. Please unmute and begin.
Francine Maxwell, Southeastern San Diego resident. It's interesting when the chair talks about others being held accountable, but she doesn't hold herself accountable for the fact that CPP is at a standstill. Again, we understand POA and meet and confer 3-4 years, but the fact that we're still sitting without an attorney, multiple empty seats, The city council is in charge of the CPP. So somebody make it make sense why we're not holding the city council accountable for the way that the San Diego Police Department is having little to no oversight. Measure B was passed across the aisles, across boundaries, across redlining in our history. And the fact that this city council just sits like crickets, the fact that San Diego Police Department is not having oversight is just amazing to me. We know that public safety is so important, and the survey, the budget survey, spoke to it. A KPBS article on 6/5/24 talked about 47th and Fairmont, the Webster area, for a fire station. Why hasn't that been brought to the council? NOP was sent out 1/12/24. Why haven't we talked about it? Public safety means for all. So this seems to me that if all of this was happening in 2024, environmental studies, NOPs, KPBS articles, press conferences, why haven't we found out where this is being hidden? Because 28 million unfunded was the first estimate for this, and we need a regional park there on 47th. We don't need a new fire station, but we do need a fire station. My Skyline fire station is still in a tent and a trailer. I'm not understanding why that's not on the schedule, and you guys are talking about it. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for your comment. Our next speaker is Andrea Ebbing. Please unmute and begin.
Hi, this is Andrea Ebbing. Laurie Saldana, I think that was Laurie Saldana speaking first on virtual, and I just wanted to say, Raul Campillo, if it did horrify you about the rape kits, and my beatdown didn't horrify you, and my child abduction, the attempted murder, and the 5 years of malicious prosecution, very obvious, created, contrived, falsified cases and false imprisonments of a District 7 resident, and then my brutal beatdown in front of 40 children in a park, which has no lights and no cameras. If that doesn't disgust you, maybe my open rape kit will disgust you. It took 6 hours with Palomar Health. She said I was the most injured person she's ever seen, head to toe, because of Anthony Warner. And God bless you, Audra. Thank you so much for your comments earlier. Yeah, I was deeply disturbed about what I saw at Las Colinas. I also live in this neighborhood, and I know everyone in my neighborhood. And these kids are, I don't want them to go to jail. I want them to play sports and make good decisions. And these kids are skaters, and I'm a skater, and I was talking to them about an experience that I had. Yeah, that was my experience. I went to a place that was absolutely terrible that you do not want to go to, but I only went there because I got a falsified case against me. A $100,000 warrant was issued for my arrest for getting brain surgery, life-saving brain surgery for ruptured aneurysm on November 4th, 2025. And anyone listening, including you up there on the dais, you know that is atrocious. That is a vulgar display of public corruption. The fact that I had to spend 8 days in Las Colinas right before being released to be almost beaten to death, with shingles, denied my antivirals, denied my antibiotics, with 230/110 blood pressure is unacceptable.
Thank you for your testimony. The 5-minute timer has concluded. We have 5 hands remaining in the queue. We will take no other callers beyond these 5 hands. Kathleen Lippett, please unmute and provide your non-agenda public comment at this time.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Wilford and committee members. My name is Kathleen Lippett, and due to my research background in drug policies, I would like to address the issue of city smoke shops selling items that they are not permitted to sell per AB 8, which was signed October 2nd, 2025 by Governor Newsom, that required hemp-derived intoxicants are only to be sold in licensed dispensaries. Kratom, also known as 7-OH and Delta 8, is routinely sold in the open in these unregulated, not overseen smoke shops. They are not allowed to be sold anywhere in California, as well as the city of San Diego. If the city is serious about regulating dispensaries and trying to minimize their harmful impacts, preventing unfair competition from unpermitted pot shops and unregulated smoke shops should be important to you. Prevention colleagues in San Fernando Valley visited 300 of their 352 smoke shops, and they found that they were continuing to sell these banned products. Significant legislation such as AB 8 is important to protect, but it doesn't do any good if it's passed and not enforced. It was passed to help protect consumers by stopping the sale of illegal intoxicating hemp products being sold statewide. Please listen to whistleblowers such as the original and Andrea Ebbing. Also, Lori Saldana and Councilmember Campillo. They are to be lauded for their concern for the city's failure to test every single rape case. The broken windows theory is something that you all should look at. It's important. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for your comment. Becky Rapp, please unmute and begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Becky Rapp, and I come to speak today to this committee out of gratitude to the mayor's office for prioritizing public health in its mayor's draft 2027 budget. Because at first glance, it does not appear that funding has been included to launch the socially equitable cannabis program. For many community members, this comes as a relief. Residents across San Diego are asking for a renewed focus on public health and safety while making responsible fiscal decisions. Implementing the socially equitable cannabis program would require substantial city resources as well as compound very real public health and behavioral health challenges our city is already facing. Emergency room physicians and healthcare providers are increasingly speaking out about what they're seeing firsthand. Rising cases of marijuana-related emergency visits, including psychosis, anxiety episodes, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. Consequences that have the potential of permanently altering the brain, the developing brain. These patients are showing up in our hospitals, and it's affecting families across our city. I urge this committee to hear directly from local medical professionals. Please invite emergency physicians, behavioral health experts, and public health leaders to present data and share their real world experiences from the front lines. It's never too late to educate yourselves and reevaluate the real consequences. It's the first step to educating the community about the detrimental effects. So let's reevaluate the current program in place and prioritize the health and safety of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Phone number ending in 8700. You can unmute by pressing *6.
Thank you. Joy Senyata. I'll be speaking on the emergency response times. Now, coming up in June, more info since that presentation of the last one, so I'm excited about that. I was told then that all 911 calls go first to the SCTV. And yesterday I Googled 911, and wow, is it detailed? Very confusing. And it just didn't feel right, but there's a lot of stuff out there that they're presenting to the public. So question, Falk contract. When we were working on the contract a while back, there was data presented which was very good on the ambulances, responses, and so forth. So I don't know how that fits into what's being presented to us now on the response improvement that's needed. Now, AMR, part of the whole deal, they're part of a contract, I understand now, I don't get it. So I'm excited about this changes my topic just slightly. I'm excited about the Real-Time Operations Center, the RTOC. The RTOC is focused on proactive crime fighting and efficient resource management, adapting to the current needs of the department, SDPD, and the community. The RTOC is a great step forward for public safety of both officers and public. Now let's repeat that with a great step forward for the public feeling safe in their times of greatest need with a call for emergency services. So SDPD, you know, I love you. I give you high signs when I see you on the road, sometimes even a hard hand.
Thank you. This does conclude your time. Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Madison. Please unmute and begin.
Hi, thank you. I'm here to speak of growing public safety concern, which is impaired driving associated with high THC cannabis, specifically the very real challenges this creates for law enforcement. A recent study made something clear, which is that we do not have a reliable, practical way for police officers to measure marijuana impairment at the roadside like we do with alcohol. There's not a THC breathalyzer to measure levels of impairment that we have for blood people, since it's processed differently in the body. This leaves our police officers in a difficult position. So even as marijuana use becomes more normalized and accessible, the enforcement has not kept pace. Officers are forced to rely on subjective observations and limited testing methods, which are harder to defend and apply consistently. At the same time, we know THC impacts reaction time, coordination, and judgment, all essential for safe driving. The risk is real, but our ability to act on it is limited. When you combine increased access to high-potency products with these enforcement gaps, it creates a serious public safety issue. More use means more impaired drivers, but not more effective enforcement. As you consider policies around expanding marijuana storefronts, I urge you to think about the burden this places on our police. We should not expand access faster than we can enforcement with the tools we need to keep our roads safe. A safety-first approach means recognizing that this gap still exists and not allowing more marijuana storefronts. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Terry Ann Skelly, please unmute and begin.
Good afternoon, Public Safety Chair Ron Wilbert. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I came to Public Safety today to share with you a growing concern at my planning group reference to tobacco and marijuana, secondhand smoke and vapor on our hiking trails and our small sidewalks that connect the neighborhoods in my area and around the areas that they go to in San Diego to attend events and enjoy a night out. The tobacco and marijuana litter is also noticeable. I recently received a fact sheet from Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights entitled Facts About Secondhand Marijuana Smoke. Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights, the 40-year-old premier nonprofit organization, promotes prevention and education about smoking, vaping, and secondhand smoke and vape. It has been their role to expose the tobacco industry's interference with public health policies. Ultimately, their intent is to create a smoke-free, vape-free generation of Americans that rejects tobacco use and is savvy to tobacco industry's marketing tactics. Over the last 5 years, Americans for Non-Smokers' Rights has added marijuana to all of its educational prevention efforts. Their fact sheet states that, I quote, secondhand marijuana smoke and vape contains many of the same cancer-causing substances and toxic chemicals as secondhand tobacco smoke and vapor. Now could be a great time for the city to consider a ban of public marijuana and tobacco smoking and vaping in our public areas. Thank you for hearing my concerns this afternoon.
Thank you for your testimony. And the final caller in our queue is Judy Strang. Please unmute and provide your non-agenda public comment.
Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity. It was not my goal to speak what will now be 3 times. I had thought and had arranged with an associate so that I could speak shortly after 2 when I thought non-agenda public comment was going to be. And I just want to add my voice to those who find speaking here difficult and have to arrange our work life around it. My colleagues and other associates are good to me because they understand the passion I have to protect children. So they assist by letting me be a voice for them, and thank you for that opportunity. I would again like to stress how valuable prevention is to costs. I'm glad to see the mayor's budget is out And I like that there will always be more of an emphasis on what we can do up front, and so we're not funding programs that only cause problems instead of solve them. And I would call to our attention again for our first responders that any survey you look at for first responders, the things that they are most often called out for are those things associated with disorderly or destructive conduct or mental health problems, neighborhood disputes, welfare checks, and as they put it, behavioral health crises. When you take a look at all of these things, and also high frequency repeated calls for the same people related to their drug use, when you look at all these things, they have that commonality that if we could do more up front for people's alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and drug use, we could save ourselves a great deal of money out the back with public safety personnel and programs. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. And Chair, this concludes non-agenda public comment.
All right, thank you very much, everyone who participated in today's meeting. I will now adjourn this meeting of the Public Safety Committee meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting on Wednesday, May 13th, 2026 at 2 p.m. We are adjourned.
Stay classy, San Diego. Stay tuned.